In the cyber world of playing cowboys and Indians, what do the latest attacks look like against you, your employees, and your customers? How do you move away from siloed security to integrated, pervasive cyber resilience? My name is Ernesto Bruisma. I'm a cyber consultant at Mimecast. I've helped many organizations through digital transformation in previous roles. And I've been asked here today by Bytes to talk to you about a connected ecosystem, especially then in cyber. It's a privilege to be with you today. Am I going to tell you a good old Western? Yeah, why not? As owners and employees, you're trying to run a business. You're trying to provide a service. You're trying to make some cash, and you're trying to make the world a better place. You've got processes and you've got people, and you rely on many IT systems that have cleverly been stitched together. And then along come some cyber criminals. Right? They also want to make some cash, but they don't want to make the world a better place. So their aim is to disrupt your business and to somehow make some cash. For decades, they've been attacking your employees with viruses and malware and malicious links. And every time when you come up and install a new level of protection, those poor hackers have to come up with a new type of attack or sandbox evasion techniques. And if it's not malware, then they're just trying to scam you or trying to trick you into paying a fake invoice. But now the focus has really shifted to beyond the perimeter. Right? You've got all these clever tools in place to protect your employees, but your customers and your third parties, that's a different story. You don't manage their IT. So attackers start impersonating your brand and then tricking your customers to log into maybe a fake portal that looks like your website to get into your system. Then they steal their money, right, your customers' money or their personal details, and damage your brand. And then there's the regulator making your life expensive. I mean, difficult. I mean, both. So let's look at how that compares to the Westerns. This is a poster from the 1960 Western, The Magnificent Seven. And yeah, you're right, there was a 2016 remake as well. In this little village in Mexico, the villagers face constant disruption by a gang of bandits led by Calvera, raiding the village for food and supplies. So just like the villagers, you are facing constant disruption. What can you do to minimize the risk of being disrupted? Because let's face it, there will always be disruptions. So on top of that, what can you do when disruption happens? How can you mitigate disruption? Because the threats are so clever, they come from every corner. The hacker doesn't sit there thinking, how can I launch an email-based attack? No, they want to disrupt your business. They think, email is a good way in. The web is a great tool to get stolen detail out. Right? The users can easily be tracked. And once I'm in, I can cause even more disruption if I play my cards right and I hack a few more systems before I launch my larger scale attack. So you shouldn't sit there thinking what email security or web security can fix all my issues. You need to think, how can I avoid disruption? Well, first of all, by utilizing all your security solutions to the best of their capabilities and then to make them work together. If I just block the threat in my email security, my firewall and my web security need to know about it. If I just found out a user was compromised in one system, I need to quarantine that user on all fronts and hunt further for risks with other users. And if disruption occurs, how can I make sure that my users can continue to work, maybe on temporary systems, and how can I restore all my systems and my data? So the heroes in the Magnificent Seven, they knew they couldn't go at it alone. Right? They had to work together and utilize each other's strengths. The slogan was, they were just seven, they fought like 700. You need to do the same. This is exactly what the PIB group did. I have a case study for you. PIB Group is a group of insurance advisory businesses that launched in 2015 with offices staffed by more than 1,400 people in over 40 locations. When Eddie Rogers, the group IT manager, and the infrastructure manager Luke Copeman joined the business in 2016, they found an email environment that the business had outgrown and was difficult to manage. I quote, logging into multiple systems to manage the email environment was an operational headache and wasted a lot of time. Concurrently, the lack of integration between our email security and archiving represented an information security risk. Meanwhile, all these issues created new challenges for Luke in his role, migrating acquired companies into the PIB Group Microsoft 365 email environment. And I quote Eddie Rogers, the Group IT manager, it's made a huge difference, adding a vital extra layer of security. The biggest difference is just how effective it is at blocking the most sophisticated attacks. Without Mimecast in place, we could potentially be much more open to successful attacks. And just dealing with those would be a full-time job for somebody. So, how does this work? Well, let me show you the Mimecast Solutions framework. Cyber resilience starts with Email Security 3.0. That is, email security at your email perimeter, inside your network and your organization, and beyond your perimeter. So think beyond, move from perimeter email security to pervasive email security. What is that in more detail? At your email perimeter, there is secure email gateway protecting against spam and viruses. Then it's targeted threat protection, protecting against malicious threats like weaponized attachments and malicious URLs and those business email compromises, impersonations. And then data loss prevention to keep the regulator at bay. Inside your network and organization, we've got internal email protection to protect against insider threat, whether that is a malicious actor getting access to your systems or a rogue employee. Then there's the security awareness training. This makes sure that users are up to date with the latest policies and they know how to behave in a secure way. And then quarantine and remediation. So if something does happen, if the internal email protect has picked something up, you can remediate that. You can clean up Office 365 automatically, those kind of things. And then beyond your email perimeter. Well, first of all, there's global threat intelligence. Utilizing global threat intelligence, for example, right? If something happens on the other side of the planet, how can I apply that to my own systems? And then proactive risk hunting, finding out if there are threats against your brand, attacking your customers and your consumers, right? Is a new fake login portal that looks like your brand is being spun up somewhere. And applying a level of brand and domain protection, influencing that global threat intelligence, for example, and taking those malicious websites down and stopping people from sending emails on behalf of your domain. So again, think beyond. So this is email security. What about cyber resilience? This is the Mimecast Solutions framework. On the left-hand side is email security that we just went through in detail at, inside, and beyond your perimeter. On the right-hand side, there are the resiliency extensions. So continuity and recovery, making sure that people can continue to send and receive emails when Office 365 is down or something has been encrypted. Adding 100% uptime SLA to your Microsoft 365 email. Sync and recover, being able to restore emails from an independent copy in the cloud back into Microsoft 365. Because we had independent copies when we were dealing with on-premise environments, we also need independent copies in the cloud. Dealing with web threats and shadow IT, we've got large file sync and web security, cloud-based security, even for those users that are now working from home and are not protected by a corporate firewall. Privacy and encryption, secure messaging and a privacy pack. And then finally, to provide that governance and compliance for the regulator, an independent archive with e-discovery tools, supervision tools, and compliance protect. And that's all underpinned by threat intelligence and our ecosystem. So we know that for hackers, email is their Swiss Army knife to get inside organizations. Most attacks start with an email. So there's a huge amount of telemetry in the Mimecast security system to help the rest of your ecosystem. If we see a new threat or a new attack, we can warn your other systems like your firewalls and your SIEMs and your source and your network analyzers through our connected ecosystem, through our API. We can warn CrowdStrike and Palo Alto, and we can send information to SIEMs like Logarithm and Splunk and Microsoft Azure Sentinel and all the big names. But it also works the other way around. When another system detects something, you can apply that threat intelligence and bring your own threat intelligence into Mimecast, and you can trigger those remediation processes from internal email protect to clean up Office 365 and Mimecast. And I want to show you a quick little demo of what that looks like in action. Imagine you've received the following email. You work for a company called 228, and you receive an email from Human Resources, Isabel Epson, someone you know, and it says, as part of our commitment to your health, but also your personal preference, we will reopening our offices from next month. If you would like to work from the office again, yay, please fill out our company survey. Okay, click on that company survey on SurveyMonkey. So I immediately click on that link. But what our target threat protection immediately did was it tagged this message as suspicious. It says this message originated from outside 228. It was sent to Ernesto Bruce. The sender name was Isabel Epsom, and the sender's email address was ebmcast@gmail.com. So I did click on that link though, and immediately another part of targeted threat protection said, do you think this link is safe? And it shows you it's not going to SurveyMonkey actually, it's going to malwarecatTest.mimecast.xyz, and I can't actually copy that link, but it then asks me, do you think it's safe? And I think, yeah, it's safe. So I click on it and it says, sorry, it protects me. It says it's harmful, and it gives me a safety tip. Now, what if I forwarded this to my own email? Well, first of all, the administrator has disabled the ability to forward suspicious messages. But if there was some kind of way that I could get that URL out, or I just typed it in to a web browser, then we also integrate with web security. And with web security, even if you just browse to that website is also blocked. So that's the integration between targeted threat protection, email protection, and our web security solution. So even if that email came in from, say, Gmail or somewhere else, your users are still protected. If now pivot to maybe the role of the security analyst. The security analyst wants to know what's going on inside their organization, and they use, say, a SIEM, and I'm using Splunk as an example here, but this works with any SIEM. And you search for that same URL again, you can then see, oh, it wasn't just sent to eBursma, it was also sent to eMarino. And you can maybe then search for that URL across multiple systems to see if any firewalls picked it up as well. Now, what if I wanted to remove that email from the user's mailbox, right? There is a threat remediation option here, and this works for any emails that are malicious or maybe violate the DLP policy or somehow need to be removed. I put the file hash of that email in the search criteria. It finds that email. You can see it wasn't just sent to me, it was also sent to a few other users. And I can then remove that message that will reach back into Office 365, pull those emails out, and hide it from the archive in Mimecast. Now, if we're going to look at beyond our perimeter, so outside our control, I've got a mailbox here for a Probatio, which is not 228, right? It's a different organization. And in Probatio, someone also received an email from the same Isabel Epson. It says, dear customer, we are migrating your user profiles to our new system. In order to avoid disconnection, you will need to register your own users on the new 228 portal. Now, that person in Probatio doesn't have the same level of protection as the person in 228. So they're allowed to go to this 228.co. It's not .com. It's a different domain, and it's very difficult for me as a Probatio user to work that out. So I then enter my details, and my credentials are compromised. So what does Mimecast offer here? With our brand exploit protect, we constantly scan what domains are being registered that look like your domain, or if your portal has been copied somewhere, and we then bring that up as a live attack, and we show the company that this threat exists, and you can then see, okay, yeah, they have copied our portal, and there's a live attack here. Where does the DNS point to? Who is this registered by? What does the certificate look like? Now, there are a few things that I can do. I can immediately block my own users in Mimecast, either in email protection or web protection, but I want to protect that Probatio user beyond my perimeter. I can now request a takedown of this domain, and I click on takedown, and that's all it takes for me. An analyst at Mimecast will now pick that up and take that website down for you, and we do that on average in 3 hours. Now, the final product that I want to show you that we integrate with is the Mimecast Awareness Training product. So generally, you would have a schedule of all your awareness training modules that would go out on a monthly basis, but you can run a specific campaign for people that have a specific high risk factor, are in a specific department, or have just been targeted. You can see the performance of which employees have a certain risk score, or what kind of achievements people had, if they had a lot of incorrect responses on their tests. And finally, you can see on the dashboard what your overall company risk score is and your completion, module completion, and correct responses. And there's obviously a full phishing simulator as well. Now, there's a beautiful integration between Mimecast and awareness training as well. If you have a real phishing email and someone clicked on that link, that can now be imported into your phishing simulator, and you can use a real attack as a phishing simulation template to target other users. And now also a quick demo on the resiliency extensions. So here you see my inbox again, and if I look at an old projects folder, I've cleared that out. I've deleted all those emails. But of course, my boss is going to ask me, do you have that old email from that old project? As a user, I always have access to my archive using Mimecast for Outlook. And as you can see, all the folders have been replicated from Outlook. And I can now go into this folder, export, and restore that back into Outlook myself as a user. Now, if the administrator had to do that, the administrator can also do this straight from the cloud. So this is the Mimecast administration console. The administrator goes in, finds that mailbox, finds that folder, and then either can export those emails to, say, a PST file or something like that, or choose to restore it. And it's a cloud-to-cloud restore, happens in the background, and the notification goes to the user once it is completed. The Mimecast for Outlook app also allows for refined searches throughout the entire archive. For example, any email containing the word virus, but not the word coronavirus, for example. And there's quite a few search options that allows people to search for exactly the email they're looking for in a specific date range, for example. Now, what happens during a Microsoft 365 outage? I'm going to simulate an outage here. So I'm going to be in the inbox and I'm going to activate continuity. So this is a feature in Mimecast that allows users to continue to send and receive emails even when Outlook is not connected to Microsoft 365. As you can see, it's set to working offline. So I'm definitely not connected to Office 365 at the moment and not receiving emails. So if my friend then sends me this most important email, you must read this pretty soon because it's super important, otherwise things will not be the same, and sends me this email, I would normally not get that email. Now, first of all, I can access this email in the Mimecast for Outlook app. As you can see, it's already appeared in my online inbox. If I don't have access to Mimecast for Outlook, as a user, I also have access to that inbox through Mimecast webmail. Now, if the user is using Outlook and has the Mimecast for Outlook app installed, then the Mimecast for Outlook app will periodically poll if there are any new emails in Mimecast and push them into the inbox, and the user can just continue to work as they normally are. And if they want, they can also reply to that email Thanks. Got it. Mimecast picks it up out of the outbox and sends it to the other party without Microsoft in the middle. Now, if I set this back to working online, then Outlook will re-download that email from Office 365, but Mimecast will deduplicate that email. And that's how users can continue to send and receive emails without even noticing the outage. That was a quick overview of some of the Mimecast security products and how they all integrate. Now, if you like what you've seen here today, then go to our website, explore the solutions framework, and then get in contact with Bytes, and we'd love to help you further. I hope today's been useful. My name is Ernesto Bruisma. It was a pleasure being with you.